What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. Sorry for the delay there, some internet issues. So we're on a hotspot. We're going to try to power through with this one today. But it was day 3 of Patriots training camp at Barth. Mike Vrabel told us before camp we might have some high tempo days, we might have some low tempo days. Think it's probably fair to call this one a low tempo day because they took the field. It was hot one too, 90s, first 90 plus degree day of camp, and they took the field without helmets today. Big walk through pace. You know, they were going through 11 on 11s. But it was all in walkthroughs. But it did seem like they got a lot of stuff done, right? Vrabel told us they installed some of their third down plays today. So not too much to break into from a performance point of things. But
Sure.
What did you just think of overall from today's practice and the fact that they went to this walkthrough and what you saw out there?
Yeah, it's a stark contrast from last year. Where they would just kind of do the positional drills early in practice, and then boom, you're in 11 on 11 full speed, and that's what it was. This year has been a lot more nuanced, a lot more focused on individual positions, a lot more focused on technique. And today was like the apex of that, right? And Caleb Von Chason talked about it after practice, making sure you have every little step right, every little hand placement right, all of that on a day like today. And they installed an important part of their playbook, third down. And I think Vrabel mentioned some red zone. They weren't actually in the red zone, but they could have still been running red zone plays. I'm not sure. Look, ultimately, we'll figure out how well today went tomorrow because Vrabel talked about picking the speed back up tomorrow. My guess would be they took a full day for the install today because it's important stuff rather than splitting it up like they did yesterday with first down. And then tomorrow they'll see how well they can execute it. So we'll see tomorrow how today worked. But you know, it's a different approach. I don't know that it's better or worse than last year. It's just a different approach.
Yeah. And so tomorrow expected to be a pretty high intensity, back to high tempo.
Yep.
And then they'll be off Sunday, full padded practice that on Monday. So the next 2 practices we have here, there should be a lot to look at, right? And I will, going back to today, they were split up, right? So it was Drake May on one half of the field, Josh Dobbs on the other half of the field. It feels like maybe they're trying to set these rotations initially so that when we get in padded practice, we can glean a little bit more of, okay, this guy's repping with these guys. These guys are maybe over catching passes from Josh Dobbs instead. And I would say for the most part today, the wide receiver split was what we've talked about, right? Like Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte repping a lot with Drake May, Kyle Williams and Kendrick Bourne, maybe in that second tier over with Josh Dobbs. So that top 5 kind of intact. And then the offensive line, the same 5 that we've seen, but a lot of Jared Wilson again today with that top unit, all on the interior, both guard spots and center. So did any of that kind of stand out to you, or as we go into these next 2 high intensity practices, anything from those rotations today that kind of caught your eye?
Yeah, it's the Jared Wilson stuff. He's just so involved, and Mike Vrabel credited him before practice day talking about how well he picked stuff up when he wasn't on the field. So it seems like they believe that there's a real scenario where he's in their best 5. And, you know, we've talked about this competition. Is it him versus Garrett Bradbury? Is it him versus Cole Strange? Well, there's another scenario where they determine, and ultimately he's got to play up to this, and this will be determined when the pads come on. Is the battle Strange versus Bradbury to see who's better, who doesn't get benched for Wilson, and maybe they're comfortable with him in either spot. So I've just been impressed with how involved he is. Not just that, he's a rookie and they're giving him a lot of chances. He didn't do anything in the spring. He didn't do any team drills in the spring. He was completely limited. And now they're throwing a lot at him. So as Vrabel said, he clearly picked a lot up, even though he wasn't in the drills, to the point where they're willing to give him these reps. So that's notable.
Yeah. Definitely, to miss the whole sprain and then get thrown into the fire like that with the starting unit. Definitely notable, and seems like they have big plans for him there. So those were kind of the big things. Just looking at who was with where, who was on the field today with certain guys, continuing that trend in these non-padded practices. So we'll see. You would assume when the first padded practice starts, or maybe even tomorrow, if they're ramping up the intensity, that these are the initial groupings, and then we'll see with performance if those change throughout the summer as we go along. So Anything else on the field kind of stand out to you? Did you notice anything? Again, every play was walk through pace. Phil Perry was saying Tom Curran could have played quarterback back there today, so that was the intensity level that you could have expected. But anything from, you're watching these third down plays. Stephon Diggs was still getting targeted a lot. There seemed to be a lot of passes over the middle of the field. Did any of these trends maybe catch your eye to say, okay, this is what they might be kind of cooking up here with this install, even though, again, you're not looking at the results so much today?
Yeah, it could have been in the middle of the field, I would say, is the big thing. It's tomorrow, right? We'll see how much of what they run today we recognize tomorrow, and at what level are they running it. And offense and defense, by the way. Because this was I feel like it's been such an offense-focused camp, and it's kind of nuts with Vrabel spending probably more time with the offense than the defense, I would say, Brian, from what I've seen. And I'm not watching every second of every period, but the defense installed too. I'd say the defense, you saw them kind of loading up in the secondary, Marcus Epps and Jalen Hawkins both on the field together at times. That was interesting because we're kind of wondering, is it one guy or the other? Well, maybe there's a package where it's both and it's two real deep safeties, and then Duggar and Peppers are freed up to come down in the box, things like that. I would say that stood out to me maybe as much as anything, actually, on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it is interesting. You mentioned Vrabel a lot with the offense. Like every time they kind of start practice, they go, it's not offense on air. It's like offense against offense, but they're in like pennies. They're just setting landmarks. And Vrabel's always back there like playing safety so he can watch the offense and watch Drake May. Right. So he's really kind of invested in the offensive side of the football there over defense, which you figured that's kind of his calling card. So that's been interesting to kind of watch over the first couple of days here of Pat's camp practice. So that's pretty much what went on the field today. Again, not too much. We can't update, just injuries, still no Jalen Polk. And then the guys on PUP NFI were not out there, but Carlton Davis was back. So that was encouraging after he missed yesterday. Vrabel said that was just kind of maintenance as he comes back from whatever landed him on the NFI there. So
Barmore back too.
Barmore back. Yep. They said that was his plan. Just, he's going to have some of these maybe limited days as they go through the summer. So good to see Barmore back in there. Did you take anything? Vrabel was asked about Polk. He just, to start, he kind of said, there's circumstances around each guy. Reading through the quote now, there wasn't, he didn't say much, but
no.
Where you at with Polk right now?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that he talked about Polk and the importance of being able to keep up with the offense and the install while you're off on the side. And then mentioned how well Jared Wilson was doing with that exact thing. It was two different questions. Although I think he actually referenced back to Polk when he was asked about Wilson.
He did, yeah.
Look, it's a cliche, but it's there for a reason. You can't make the club from the tub. You can't make the club from the tub. And that's Polk's in that position. Like, he came in on the bubble, and you look at Tayshaun Boutte does not look like a bubble player. He looks squarely in the mix, right? So if you're counting it with that, now it's, and this is not me calling him a lock, but if they're really planning on having him, right? Pop, Kyle Williams, Diggs, Mac Hollins if he's off PUP, and now Boutte. So now you're talking about a sixth spot over Efton, Chisholm, Kendrick Bourne, and Javon Baker, who against the threes, all that, had a decent first 2 days. Take that for whatever you want. But he had a better 2 days than Polk did because he was out there. And that's not saying much, but it's not the same either. So, yeah, he's got a long hill to climb, and he's really got to hit the ground running when he gets back. He's got a long way to go. Like I say Bakes had a good first 2 days. Baker's had a good first 2 days. Like, I don't necessarily think he's going to make the team. I still think he's a long way from a roster spot. But in that same sentence, he's ahead of where Polk is at this point because he's on the field. He's been getting open. It's against guys that aren't going to be on the team, but he's getting open. Polk is not because he's not on the field.
You figure you would like him back by the first padded practice, at least at this point.
That's what I always say. Like, that's when you really got to get back by. And the other frustrating thing about it is it's not the shoulder injury, right? It's not, he had that offseason shoulder surgery. It's, what was it? Minor muscle tightness. Was that what Reese called it? Or minor muscle soreness?
Yeah, which sounds like a
Yeah.
hamstring or a calf or
Right.
something like that.
So, a day like today, could you be out there where they weren't running at all?
I know
Right. So
that kind of surprised me because he's not on the pup list, so he could have
right.
been out there without having to like pass a physical and get activated, but he still wasn't out there today. That one kind of weird. So you
Yeah.
hope he can at least get back by that first padded practice if he wants to try to make a push, but not looking good too far. But people in the chat talking about Christian Wilkins, who was surprisingly cut by the Raiders yesterday, their big money free agent addition last offseason. Patriots had some interest in him before he signed with the Raiders. Now the Patriots obviously get Christian Barmore back. They signed Milton Williams to a big free agency deal. This free agency, Vrabel was asked about potentially adding Christian Wilkins today, and he said, I think we'll have a conversation. It is pretty new. And then he mentioned he did recruit Christian when he was coming out of high school, local kid, grew up in New England. So, Barth, would you have any interest in Christian Wilkins? We'll have to see where the health is, right? Because and if did he open a settlement against the Raiders or the league? I don't know exactly.
He filed a grievance. I don't know
the grievance.
The legal terminology is going to fly right over my head.
Exactly.
So that's where I wonder, as they talk about it, they'll probably want insight as to how this all went down. Because what Ian Rapport reported was basically team wanted him to have surgery. He refused. He turned down multiple medical opinions, wanted to rehab his way through it. I've seen some people talk about it's a Jones fracture. Some people talk about it being a 4 to 6 month injury, and it was in, I think, October, and he's still out. He opened on PUP. So where's he at mentally with this? Right. And Vrabel wants guys that prioritize football, that prioritize the football team. And if he's not going to be in that mindset, right? You're not going to sign him if he's good, because clearly whatever he's doing for rehab isn't working. Like, he should have been healthy. This is something that he should be back from now. He's not. I don't know for sure, but my guess would be, based on the reporting from Ian Rapport, if he had surgery, he could kind of be through it, and he's not having the surgery. If you go sit down with him and he says, I'm not having the surgery, or your medical team takes a look at him and his foot's just a mess, I don't really know what the point is of signing him, right? If he's going to be a problem, if he's not healthy, I don't know. If he just had some problem with the Raiders and, his foot looks good and he's ready to do what he needs and he can be on the field by the start of the season, I don't see why not. They have $59 million in cap space. So that's the other thing to remember here. And it shouldn't get in the way of the Patriots. You never know, but as they have all the cap space in the world, this isn't like sometimes when other guys get cut and we talk about, you can sign him to the minimum. He's being paid by the other team, blah, blah, blah. That grievance isn't going to be settled for some time. So as of now, he's not getting any more money from the Raiders. Yeah. They're withholding all his guaranteed money. So he's probably going to be looking for a real contract, right? If you know what I mean by that. Like, he's going to want actual money. And obviously his value is going to go down the way this is all gone. He's not going to get the $110 million he got last April. But if he's fully healthy, I'd be into it, because, it's a little redundant. They have a ton of talent on the defensive line. Barmore, Williams, Keon White. Like, how many snaps are going to be for him? But at the same time, this team had back-to-back 4-win seasons. Just add talent. There's something to be said for just adding talent. You figure out, maybe you play Barmore in the end, or you play Wilkins on the end, or, guys are going to get hurt, and you're going to have Christian Wilkins, the depth player, is a hell of an option. So I wouldn't be opposed if he checks a lot of boxes. It's just a lot of boxes to check. He's got to be healthy. He's got to be willing to get healthy. And he's got to be willing to accept what probably wouldn't be a massive role.
Yeah. And even, question marks we've talked about, can Milton Williams take on a bigger role, right? And I think we all think he can, and he's going to, I don't know about live up to that contract because it's a big contract, but continue what you saw in Philadelphia last year from a pressure and a pass rush point of view. But what if he can't? And then you have Christian Wilkins in there, and then Milton Williams can kind of fall back into that rotational role, and you don't want to pay $104 million for a rotational role. But if that's what it has to be, and you have Christian Wilkins in that group, like that's a pretty damn good group. So if they could make that work, all three of those guys are versatile guys. They would help even the depth, like the Tongas and the Farms of the world behind them. Like I think you would absolutely have to explore that. But you have to see where, the grievance is at and what contract he is actually looking for. That'll be interesting whenever that is settled. So we'll see with Wilkins there. But it is a conversation that the Patriots will reportedly have, according to Vrabel. So a few more things before we jump off, and hopefully my Wi-Fi is still behaving for now. Sounds good. I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks. I won't play the video today. We'll just pull that up on the lower thirds there. But do you guys know ball? Because football is right around the corner and we can start putting some of those Patriots into our lineup. Who knows, maybe Christian Wilkins more than half a sack. But for the summer, we are rolling with baseball, where you can spice up the action on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Just pick more or less on player stats like hits, home runs, strikeouts, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today, and even take advantage of their weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday projections can be discounted from 15 to 25%, or today, Friday, Flex Friday is one of their best promotions as well. So hop over there. Red Sox, big series with the Dodgers. I think they're going to get the game in. The rain looks like it's passed. So we're rolling with the kids again. Roman Anthony back in the lineup, more than half a hit, or if you want to get a little crazy, home runs, RBIs, total bases, all that available, and pair that with someone else. Even go to the Dodgers, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani. Always fun players to watch. Throw that into your lineups to try and find a winner there. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All over on Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Few more Patriots things just to wrap up here. Barth, we've talked so much about these uniforms, these rival uniforms. We got a little tease today. They are dropping August 28th. They use Boston in the promotion, Boston versus New York. Looked like there was some snow or rain in the background of this little teaser trailer video. Yeah. So did you glean anything from any of that? Do you have an idea of what these jerseys could be here?
Well, they're wearing them against the Jets, but then the Jets aren't debuting theirs until a few weeks later. So there goes my theory about the point was for the divisional teams to wear them against each other, which I think would have been cool. There were other things that Nike just got wrong that I thought were going to be cool. Like that, Nike's not. I have very low expectations for this. It's probably going to use Pat Patriot logo, the Flying Elvis, not Pat Patriot, right? Because the Flying Elvis was in the teaser. Yeah, something. Wind, rain, snow, the kind of teaser tweet mentioned a nor'easter, also maybe something nautical. If this is like City Connect or the City Edition in the NBA, it's going to be something tied to the region. So something weather-wise, something to do with the ocean would certainly make sense. But we'll see. I do think there's going to be, I know we've kind of speculated, will they be wearing white or not? And my whole thing about them wearing them against each other. I do think they're going to be blue. I think there would have been more red in that thing if it was going to be another red uniform. I think it's going to be another blue uniform or white and blue, but it's going to involve blue.
All right. I was kind of thinking maybe the white, something like the white Pat the Patriot jersey, that white road throwback jersey, because it was the snow, but maybe they mix in like a blue pant or a blue helmet with that or something. But that's what I kind of took out of that. But we have a date finally, August 28th. So wait another month. And
this is a great point. Why call it a rivalry jersey if they're not wearing them against each other?
That's fair. You would think that makes sense, but I guess not. So we'll break that down when we get it there. I see a lot of questions too about, is tomorrow pads? It sounds like the first day is Monday.
Yeah, they can't be in pads for the first 4 days. I know Onwenu gave an interview on Patriots.com where he mentioned Saturday. I think he just misspoke. So it's Monday is expected to be the first padded practice. Monday's the soonest they can have a padded practice. That based on the CBA, they can't have a padded practice tomorrow.
Yep. All right, so that's what went down today. I think I'm starting to cut out over here, so we're just gonna wrap.
Yeah, I was
up
gonna say
here.
it's starting to fade. So we got a good 20 minutes in, which for that practice I think is solid.
For a walkthrough, we'll take 20 minutes. So we'll wrap up here.
Wait. Who's your plugger of the day?
Oh, true. Do we have a plugger of the day?
Might have to go outside the box for this one.
I'll go Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, plugger of the day. He knows his team. He knows what they need. They needed a low intensity practice to ramp up for these next 2 days.
I'm going to go Brian's phone because we needed the hot spot here, and I would have had to do the show solo if he did not get that figured out. So I'm going Brian's phone as plugger of the day.
There we go. Look at that. I'm on the board for plugger of the day.
The running tally. Well, your phone is. You're not. The running tally so far: Kyle Williams, Harold Landry, Drake May, Bryce Behringer, Mike Vrabel, Brian's phone. And guys can win more than once. It hasn't happened yet, but they can. So we'll see as the summer goes on.
What a list. Plugger of the day. All right. We'll get out of here before we completely cut out. So make sure you're locked on to Patriots Press Pass. Subscribe, like for all new content wherever else you get your podcasts. Barth's on Twitter at RealAlexBarth, 985thesportshub.com for his written work. I am Brian Hines on Twitter and patspulpit.com for our Patriots training camp coverage. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow.